I think there are three fundamental reasons for RMB to depreciate over the past 6 months. The first is economic slowdown. The second is a falling interest rate in China, and the third is that RMB has been too strong for too long. The Chinese economy has been slowing down. The peak was 7 years ago at over 12%, but economic growth has been coming all the way down to below 7% last year. Slow economic growth simply means that there are less and less business opportunity for Chinese enterprises. So this is the reason why many Chinese enterprises are moving their money out of China to seek better opportunities overseas. It is pretty much the same reason for Chinese people. The interest rate in China has been falling. It's currently at an all-time low level. So people are also moving their money out of China to seek better return. So I think it's very fair to say that the capital outflow is the primary factor behind the recent RMB depreciation. But although there has been a capital outflow, but the RMB is actually pretty strong currency over the past several years. This is because RMB was pegged to the US dollar, and US dollar was the strongest currency in the world. So because of the exceptional strength in RMB, so some people are expecting that RMB is going to depreciate just to follow other currencies. So you must have heard that many international investors are shorting RMB in Hong Kong. So I think this is another reason why there is a pressure on RMB. And as for the outlook for RMB, I would say my view is quite different from other people. I think that whether or not RMB is going to depreciate will depend more on US dollar strength, not on China itself. Last year, in the fourth quarter last year, the central bank has already said that in the future, they are going to maintain RMB stability against a basket of currencies. That means that it is no longer pegged to US dollars.
So it will flow.
Yeah, that's right. Also in the future, going forward, I would say the RMB will be moving more in line with other currencies. If dollar if dollar strength continues, I would say there will be more pressure on RMB. But if dollar weakens just like what it was over the past 1 month, the pressure on RMB will be less. So I would say, so this is the reason why I think that the major factor which is going to affect RMB will be the movement of dollar. Our view is that we believe that the dollar will continue to be strong, but the strength will not be as big as before. That means that we do believe that RMB is going to depreciate, but only in a controlled manner. Actually, the intervention has been massive. You can see this from the reduction of the central bank's reserve. It declined by over $500 billion last year alone, and in January it declined by another $100 billion. So I believe that the intervention will continue if there is a pressure on RMB. But I believe that the intervention will not be as strong as before, because although currently there's no concern over the adequacy of a Chinese FX reserve, but still it is still declining very, very fast. So if the pressure on RMB continues, I would say the government intervention will be decreasing. At the same time, it will allow more fluctuation in RMB. I think declining investment growth was the key factor behind the recent economic slowdown. The investment is the primary component of GDP. It actually accounts for about 45% of Chinese GDP.
Investment and domestic, right?
There are three key components for investment. One is the infrastructure investment from the government, and one is the investment from the manufacturing sector, and the third one is property investment.
And which part is slowing down now?
Both the manufacturing and the property sector are slowing down very fast. The only growth driver is from the government infrastructure investment. Just give you the overall picture of the investment. The investment growth was over 30% 7 years ago. It has come down to about 20% 2 years ago, and last year it was only 10%. So you can see that the very fast decline in the investment growth was actually the key reason for the overall economic slowdown.
Why is it slowing down in the investment, especially in property and in the industrial?
Yeah, the problem for the manufacturing sector is overcapacity. China had made huge investment after a few years after the financial crisis in 08. So the capacity for the manufacturing sector is huge. The producer price index in China has been declining for 46 months in a row, meaning that the pricing environment for the manufacturers is actually very ugly. Yeah. And for the property sector, the problem is inventories. Yeah. Just give you an idea about how many houses have been built in China. Over the past 7 years, houses which have been built or which are under construction can accommodate 600 million people. That is about 60% of the total population in China. So you can see that currently the inventory problem is a serious problem. The current inventory is about six times of the annual sales in China, home sales in China. So because of the high inventory, I would say property investment is unlikely to pick up anytime soon. So the only growth driver will be from the government side, which is infrastructure investment. Yeah, I do believe that the government is capable of maintaining the overall investment growth at an acceptable level, because the government is now, its fiscal status pretty strong. Its debt ratio is only 15% for the central government. I think this must be the lowest in the world. So if needed, I believe that the government is going to adopt pretty aggressive fiscal policy to maintain investment growth. I think this is actually what they have been doing over the past 1 year.
So what level of growth do you see for the next year? Because last year we see 6.9, right? Lower than 7, and it's the lowest in 25 years. So what about this year and next year onwards?
We are looking for the economic to grow by 60.6% this year. But we believe that going forward, economic growth will continue to slow down, and this is quite natural, because the GDP, the size of GDP of China has been growing to a pretty big level. But we don't think that the GDP growth will slow down to below 6% over the next 3 years. Yeah, I think the growth is still quite acceptable.